Sorry, I'm late. You know how things are with me and equipment. So, no, I don't need all of these pop-up windows opening up. So, here's what happened. Morning on Hump Day, Abby. Me being about as AR as it gets when it comes to things. I'm trying to get all of the computers working and operating and figuring out, okay, what's the TV going to look like? Who's going to be on the TV? What am I looking at? What are my other monitors going to be? All these kinds of things. And for those that may not know, I'll call it out a bit an hour early. Well, okay, yeah, it is technology. True, Abby. So the way that the setup is here in Office HD, for those who are just going to be listening to the show later and not watching on Twitch, my camera, my audio board, my headset, that's everything that's right in front of me. And I've got the monitor and everything. That's the main computer that I reference with like the production board and things like that. That's the one that's in front of me. Off at about 10 o'clock is laptop number one. And laptop number one is the one that I, have with the Twitch pitch and everything. And it's like, okay, here's where I'm going. What other kinds of things am I researching? All this kind of stuff. Then off at about, actually, it's more like 11 o'clock. Yeah, it's about 11 o'clock. Then about 9 o'clock, I have laptop number two. And that is for in cases of emergency where I, need to have something up the entire time on computer one or computer two. Computer three is going, and then I can sit there and navigate it and figure out what I need to do. So laptop number one had some schmutz on it. And it had to do with the touchpad. And it's like, when you're going across the touchpad and you sit there and it's like, okay, everything's normal. And all of a sudden your fingers kind of stop. And so I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I got to clean that up. So I don't know what it was. It might have been blueberry muffin. I don't know. But whatever it was, I had to basically feverishly, I had to drop like a minute and sit there and take my hand and something wet and sit there and go across the touchpad. And I think it's safe now. But if you see me, if you're watching on Twitch, you see me peel off to my left and you see me trying to sit there and clean up other things, then that's why, because I didn't clean it up right the first time. So that's what's been going on. That's why we were at 9:06 this morning, and I profoundly apologize for that. Here is what's going on. It is Women's World Cup preview-y type stuff. We got a lot of that. Bart Keeler coming on from SoccerForUS POD, and he'll be coming on hour number 2. Time to be determined basically whenever Bart wants, because Dylan Butler is on the MLS desk today, and so he'll be joining us down the line. And so Bart will be coming in, and it'll be looking at things from the Women's World Cup perspective, and that's part of what I want to do for Wall Pass Wednesday. I want all of you guys. Yeah, and Tofka, I did see your Wall Pass Wednesday questions, and when Bart comes in, I'm going to ask him the Arsenal question. Definitely going to ask him the Arsenal question. So Wall Pass Wednesday, whatever's on your mind, first and foremost, whatever questions you have, wherever they are. It doesn't matter what the topic is. It doesn't matter if it's soccer. Doesn't matter if it's not soccer. That's what Wall Pass Wednesday is all about. Obviously, with Bart, we're going to spend a lot of time dealing with the World Cup. So here is my homework assignment for you on the fly. Since everything starts like bright and early tomorrow morning at like 3 a.m., which we will not be up for. We will not be doing a watch-along for any of that stuff. I need to know champ. I need to know runner-up. I need to know who's winning groups. I need to know who's winning Golden Boot. I need to know who your biggest disappointment's going to be. I need to know who's going to deliver the biggest shock. All these kinds of things. Since the tournament starts tomorrow morning, I need to know all this stuff from you guys. And what we'll do is, obviously, this show will be put in the time capsule. We'll reference it all as we go out through the tournament. So I need all of your predictions across the board. Anything possible that can be predicted upon. That's the homework assignment this morning, and probably for the rest of the week. So I know I sprung it on you this morning, but the biggest thing here, once again, I need all of the predictions. I need all of the stuff, and that's what we're doing. Need all of that stuff from you starting this morning, and you can probably cheat a little bit on Thursday and Friday too. Biggest disappointment, biggest surprise, who's the biggest shock? Golden Boot, the young star that we don't know about that's going to show up and surprise. Those kinds of things I need to know. I want you guys to put that in the Twitch pitch for me this morning and let me know what you are thinking about heading into this particular World Cup. Like I said, Bart will join us in hour number 2. And basically, whenever Bart can break away from the real world, he can drop in and he can sit there and come in, and we'll talk about the Women's World Cup and talk about all the other stuff that's there as well. Trying to think about what else is going on. Obviously, there's the news in the morning. You've got transfers. We'll get into that probably later in hour number 1. If Bart is going to be joining us in hour number 2, probably wrapping up hour number 1 and spending time in hour number 1 with all of the news of the morning, all of the transfer stuff, all the gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what you can be watching, all those kinds of things. So news of the morning, we'll talk about it here in hour number 1 and put it to the side unless something breaks. And I know that Uncle is already in the Twitch pitch about nothing out of Atlanta United. But as I say, they don't operate in the public purview. And I know we've got about 2 weeks left in the window. Let them cook. Let them do their thing. That just because there's no news doesn't mean there isn't news, if that makes any sense. Just because there isn't news doesn't mean there isn't anything happening for like a quadruple negative. Just let them cook. They're not going to sit there and to let us know. And I know that we were all looking at Diego Rossi yesterday, and now we have our second reporter that is linking Diego Rossi to discussions with Major League Soccer and Atlanta United being a part of those discussions and that kind of a thing. So, we workshopped that out, at least price tag wise, a little bit yesterday. And so we'll, keep an eye on that. And obviously all of you guys that are faster on social media than I am will always be posting things in the Twitch pitch and the timeline, so we can all sit there and go, okay, here's what's going on. And we'll keep an eye on that. And we workshop things live and we do that. So, Amelia, let them wait until 8-2 panic and overpay. Now, I don't quite think that's going to happen. But like we did see with Yorgos Giacomakis, that the discussions are, if you really want somebody, then the price might get driven up a little bit because of what happened in dealing with Celtic and dealing with the team in the J League, Urawa Red Diamonds. You see, you can't slur that. It's got to be something that's done, piecemeal. You have to do it a syllable at a time. So Urawa Red Diamonds in the J League and those kinds of discussions. Well, how bad do you want him? What's it worth to you? Those kinds of things. And that can drive prices up. What's it worth to you? We've seen that discussion happen a lot. Well, what's it worth to you? Then you'll get that probably the closer you get to the end of the window. That's traditional. So, at least it's not like the Thrashers when they were chasing after Ron Hainsey. There's your Google reference for today, kids. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to get into with Bart specifically. And there was something in Soccer America that I wanted to have as a part of the discussion. So if you want to pop open your laptops as a part of the process, there was something from Roger Director and David Hershey from Soccer America. We'll get into this with Bart. The 11 ironclad reasons why the U.S. will win the World Cup. So we'll go through all of those as well. So that was on Soccer America, and we'll get into that. And so there's plenty to talk about. News of the day, there could be more players added to Inter Miami, not named Jordi Alba. We've got that to talk about. So there's plenty to talk about this morning. Netflix has announced a new docuseries around the women's national team and the World Cup run. CBS Sports is doing friendlies. We mentioned the 49ers have now fully taken over Leeds United. I know, sorry, Alex. I don't know if you guys saw this about Newcastle from Kyle Fansler at World Soccer Talk. Newcastle risks atmosphere for increased stadium capacity. So there is plenty to talk about. Gianni Infantino, we'll get into that. Gianni Infantino had his press conference, and he got to speak what was on his mind leading into the World Cup. Like I said, a lot of the time today will be spent on the World Cup. Want all your predictions, all those kinds of things. But we do have news of the morning, all those kinds of things. So we'll look at all of that. But opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Once again, don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15 to get 15% off your purchase. And thanks to everybody who has invested, picked up, enjoyed, continues to enjoy Kickoff Coffee, because they in turn take 10% and reinvest it into youth initiatives in the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Last night, it was All-Star. It's the beginning of All-Star Week in our nation's capital over at Audi Field. And I admit that after being reminded, oh yeah, it's a made-for-TV event, I probably should watch it just to see what's going on. Thiago Almada being one of the stars for the MLS side, by the way, as was Denny Bouanga. Man, first off, I just want to know: did you watch? Did you watch All-Star activities last night? Did you watch the amusement park that was on the field at Audi Field? And did you watch all the stuff that was going on? Target practice, crossbar challenge, all those kinds of things. How are you when it comes to watching All-Star activity? Do you lock into those kinds of things because you're tied to the sport? Do you sit there and go, it's All-Star, I'll catch it later, those kinds of things? Did you watch it last night? Did you? And what did you think? What did you think of what did you think of the gigantic skee ball competition? I also as a part of it last night, it was that I don't know about you, but I was kind of freaked out by the giant skee ball competition. And you could tell that the guys really didn't have a whole lot of practice together, because especially in that particular element of it, it was really difficult to get the passing down. And, because Major League Soccer really had a bit of an issue coming out of the blocks in the competition. But no, I just want to know, A, did you watch, and B, what'd you think? Because of these kinds of things. Do you watch All-Star competitions? And I will say this, that Denny Bouanga in the volley and smashing it into the goal, the backup keeper for Arsenal that they brought with them, if they're going to have to rely on the backup keeper, and like I said, we can bring this up with Bart too, coming up in hour number 2. If they have to rely on that backup keeper, and he's going to be going up against folks like Denny Bouanga, I don't think he understood fully the pace of the competition. Denny Bouanga shattered the record for points in that particular competition, beating the record by like 50%, had 125 points on the volleys and everything. And that keeper, it's like first one goes in, he's like, oh, crap. Sorry, look to his left. Oh, crap. Then second one goes through because he hadn't had time to get back and realize, oh, I've got to, get back to standing. And there was just like this sequence of 4 in a row where the keeper for Arsenal was just kind of like, oh, I guess I need to go back and stand there. So, Denny Bouanga did really well last night. Thiago Almada is what was going on. Ricky was there watching Thiago Almada. And like I said, Thiago Almada, he was there for MLS, and he was keeping him in the competitions. But there were some moments where you could tell that I think there might have been some confusion with players, at least on the Arsenal side. It's like, oh, crap, what are we doing now? But, yeah, they won the crossbar challenge, and, the MLS side had some work to do, and they tied it up at 5. And then I was worried. There was a point where I was worried that they might run out of soccer balls because of how many times they had missed the crossbar in the crossbar challenge. Because when you're at 5, as the rule stated, you hit the crossbar and you win. MLS All-Stars were down. They came back to tie it at 5 because Arsenal couldn't hit the crossbar from 40 yards out. And so they kept doing it and doing it and doing it. There was a point where I was thinking that they might run out of soccer balls. That's how long it was. They went past 9:30. Started at 8. They went past 9:30. I mean, I know it was like a minute or two. But my guess is, in a perfect world for a competition like that, you're hoping that you can get something done about an hour and 25 minutes. You get your 5-minute wrap-up. and then, you move on. But with Apple TV, you don't have to worry about that because it's a streaming service. They can just go on for however long they want to go. There's no out. You can just keep going, and then what's done is done. But no, I wanted to know what you guys thought, if you watched it, and do you watch those kinds of things? And I know that we, with our target practice and all that kind of stuff, we have fixed the All-Star game itself, which is, that is available on the network. So you can go back and watch how we fixed the All-Star game. We fixed the All-Star game, people. That's the best part of it. We fixed the All-Star game, and that's available on the network. So we can go back and keep an eye and an ear on all that kind of stuff. So whatever questions you guys have, that's opening kickoff, by the way. That's basically the question leading into the show. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget, use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase, and they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, the response that you guys gave after yesterday's show, when Luke Winstall came on and batted leadoff and gave the breakdown of everything from Brisbane, has kind of led to a bit of a brainstorm. At about 2:30 this morning, our time, Eastern time, Luke texts me, and he's like, thanks for letting me be on, those kinds of things. If you'd like, we've got other students in other cities that can come on and be a part of what's going on with the Women's World Cup coverage. And I said, oh, absolutely. So do not be surprised if during the group stage that we have a lot of these students from the University of Georgia in that 9:05 to 9:30, unless they're up late and they want to be on at midnight local time or what have you. But the way that it's shaping up, and thanks to all of you for being open and warming and welcoming to Luke yesterday. That was very, very cool. It's shaping up that 9:05 is really going to be, especially in the group stage, it is going to be blowing up Women's World Cup coverage from the UGA students down there in Australia. So we're trying to figure out the logistics. Luke might end up having to be the ringmaster of all of this stuff, and the student wrangler, the reporter wrangler down there. So it looks like we're going to expand our coverage in that 9:05 with the students down there from the University of Georgia who are covering things in all the various cities. And so obviously it'll be the day after the match is on, because for them, remember when they're on, there's a 14-hour time difference. So it's probably going to be the following day, 9:05. That we talk about what happened on our show as it's happening. The 2 of the 3 matches have ended. They're still getting their deadlines in, so it'll probably end up being the following day that we talk about what's happened the day before. So we'll talk about Monday's matches Tuesday matches Wednesday matches Thursday, and so on and so forth. So just as a caveat for all of that, we're probably going to be blowing up that 9:05 block during the group stage with the UGA students. So once again, thanks to all of you guys for being open and warm and welcoming, and yesterday, and following Luke on Twitter and the whole thing. And so what we'll do is we will boost the followers for Luke and all of the students that are down there that believe in the Twitters or streams or whatever. But yeah, that's the plan. We're trying to orchestrate it and figure out what's gonna happen with it. But looks like on the days after the matches are completed, that 9:05 block will have the UGA kids on. And so very, very cool stuff from them, and cool from y'all yesterday. All right. So what you guys thought, and goalie wars. We've got to get into goalie wars, because I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but Jess, front and center with Charlotte, was there to help out, to make sure that the Crown keeper, the Crown legacy keeper, made sure that the Crown legacy keeper won goalie wars. Very, very cool stuff there. And Isaac Walker made his way through, and he got a belt. And Isaac Walker, you thought Isaac was going to make sure that he could just run the timeout and launch that last ball into the ether as time was running out, but he launched it on target and had to go to overtime to knock off Damian Loss from Austin FC2. But my question is, does Jess get a belt? I want to know if Jess gets a belt. Since Jess helped Isaac Walker at Crown Legacy, does Jess get a belt? Or does she just get Isaac's belt, considering that she was the one who was helping Isaac Walker prep for Goalie Wars? Shout out to Jessica Charman, and if you haven't seen it, it's on her Twitters, at Jess Talks Footy, where she absolutely got Isaac Walker prepared. I liked Goalie Wars. And the fact that it was MLS Next Pro Keepers, that to me was what made it even better. Yes, Abby, having Tyler Miller mic'd was great. I thought that was cool. So there were some elements in it that didn't creep me out. Yeah, the gigantic skee ball thing, that really did kind of creep me out a little bit. It almost made it look like the amusement park had exploded and it got supersized or something. Then, target practice, you get target practice, you get that. That's fine. You get that. So the Arsenal won the skills challenge. The way that it laid out last night, shooting challenge, it was Timber and Kivior. You get your targets within 60 seconds. Touch challenge, Arsenal won that, but that was the first one with Thiago Almada. And cross and volley, that was where Denny Bouanga went absolutely crazy, setting a new record. Tyler Miller did really well. Passing challenge, record-setting performance from Thiago Almada. He beat the timer. He beat the clock by a second. Did the passing challenge. He did that, I think, 34 seconds. The record's 35. Kivior and Arsenal won that one. And then crossbar challenge. Austin Trusty. Yes, Abby. Abby made the point that, yes, an American on Arsenal won the crossbar challenge. An American on Arsenal won the crossbar challenge for them. See? Americans doing really well. Austin Trusty, and it took forever. Man, it took forever. And that's the thing that gets me. Just, that's just, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and somebody's close and somebody's not, and somebody is close and somebody's not. And you're just kind of going, can we do this? And they finally did. To Abby's point, on Friday at Wild Heaven West End, where we will be to watch the U.S. and Vietnam match, SDH will be there, and we will discuss things, and we will discuss we might discuss Women's World Cup, who knows. But, yes, with our friends at Subaru of Gwinnett and the Flood Project, bring school supplies. They want to absolutely just put as many school supplies in the Subaru that will be on site as possible, helping out kids that are within the orbit of Subaru of Gwinnett, because school's happening pretty soon. So very, very cool idea from the Flood Project and our friends at Subaru of Gwinnett. Bring school supplies, like trapper keepers. At least I would. I would be bringing trapper keepers and things like that. So, but knowing me these days, it's probably stuff more like notebooks, legal pads, markers, that kind of stuff. So, but yes, bring school supplies if you're coming to Wild Heaven West End on Friday. Bam. Yes, of course, Bouanga. Let's see. American refs reffing in the World Cup. But let's check this one out, because like I said, this one's going to be we're kind of workshopping all these questions this morning. I know that we never do that on Wall Pass Wednesday, so we'll see. FIFA's at 2022. Okay. All right, Kevin Baxter. The only two center referees from the United States chosen to work the World Cup from Kevin Baxter 2 days ago. Tori Penso and Katja Koroleva. Katja Koroleva and Tori Penso. Kari Seitz is now FIFA's head of officiating for women. And she is not on the field. She is now in an executive role. So last December, back at the World Championships, you'll remember 4 Americans named to the officiating team for the championship game. Ismail Elfath was the 4th. Kyle Atkins was your AVAR. Catherine Nesbitt, Corey Parker were reserve officials. So it is Tori Penso and Katja Koroleva. So that's those are the 2 that you're looking at for center refs. So let's hang on just a second. I'm trying to read the article from Kevin Baxter at the LA Times. Initially, one of a record 6 U.S. officials at the tournament, but the way that it works, none of the 6 are guaranteed an assignment in the tournament. So it is Brooke Mayo, Felicia Mariscal, Katja Koroleva, Catherine Nesbitt, Armando Villarreal, and Tori Penso. Those are the 6 that are going, 2 center refs. None of the 6 are guaranteed an assignment in the tournament. Each of the 107 match officials, 107 match officials are invited. Each of the 107 are invited, evaluated during a pre-tournament training camp, given games based on their performance. Additional assignments handed out on merit, though even the best officials might not make the final if their national team does well. Penso, quote, "I don't have control over that. What I can control is every time we step on the pitch, doing a good job serving the game well. How do we get better? How do we encourage, inspire, engage more women in this game in all capacities? When little girls see us out on the field, they believe anything is possible, and that's not just in soccer. It transcends sports, right? Yes, it does." So there are 6 that are going. 6 of the 107 are U.S. officials. 2 centers, Tori Penso, Katja Koroleva. The other 4, Brooke Mayo, Felicia Mariscal, Catherine Nesbitt, Armando Villarreal. So Koroleva, Penso. Mayo, Mariscal, Koroleva, Nesbitt, Villarreal, Penso. Those are your 6 U.S. that are heading down with the 2 center officials. So cool piece from Kevin Baxter, as always, from our friends at the LA Times. And so I will post that in. It's a breezy read. So requested required reading, somewhat pretty light so far. No worries. No, it's like I said, when we workshop this stuff that way we are all better off. We are all better off when we get this kind of information on a daily basis. Let's see. Going back over comments here in the first half hour. Apparently, Abby's puppy is on a tirade. Took the back of the Roku remote and chewed it. Now going through the bathroom garbage can for tissues. Someone needs some distractions today. No doubt. What? All right. I'll bite. Literally and figuratively. So what? And I have no idea. Maybe you guys can have an answer for me. The dogs that we have here and have had here at Office HD aren't ones that go on those kinds of tirades and try to eat remotes. They don't eat remotes. They don't, chase after tissue. They do try to eat Rowdy will pretty much try to eat anything on the floor. That's a given. But why? Why a remote? Just because they think it's something to chew on? I have no idea. I literally have no idea. Why a remote? Why? It's something it's not something that's amenable for chewing. And like I said, I'm at a disadvantage from a dog companionship standpoint, because the dogs that we've had here at the office, they're not ones that want to sit there and they just want to eat. They don't want to chew on things. They don't want to chew things up, that kind of stuff. They just want your food. They don't want remotes. They don't want tissues. They just want to eat. They're vacuum cleaners. Ah, okay. She wants. Okay, thank you, Abby. Puppy. She wants attention. There we go. Okay. Bam with his early predictions in. Australia's going to win the lot. USA to disappoint. Morning, Ricky. Abby, Thiago was phenomenal. Yet all they talked about were the skills MLS won, since Thiago was great, but the MLS did not win those skills overall. Yeah. Tafka has the same premonition about the women's national team. I think this is the year they get caught, in quotation marks, by the rest of the world. Not rooting for it, but around 16 or quarters exit may be in the cards. 4-card. Whatever is booking better be delicious, otherwise the pitchforks are coming out. Cooking, yes. Well, yeah, and Uncle, more time you wait, less time you have for integration. But remember, with this window, you're still looking at Leagues Cup as that competition that will give you that space. So the only integration comes in a Leagues Cup kind of a format, because until Leagues Cup is over, once again, you've got Leagues Cup that starts this weekend or early next week. But you've got until, let's see, what are we looking at here? Leagues Cup ends on August 18th. So if you look at it specifically from an MLS perspective, you have 2 weeks after the close of the transfer window to integrate into the stretch run for the regular season for Major League Soccer. And if you haven't finished your run in Leagues Cup, you still have that time to practice and get everything squared away. And so you can look at it two ways. If you're still in Leagues Cup, you have 2 weeks to get that player integrated into the Leagues Cup, into the roster in a Leagues Cup format. Or if you're out of Leagues Cup, you've got 2 weeks to get everything squared away with with that player or players to get you ready for the final, 10 matches of the season. So I think you'll be okay. Then Unk says, you got to know when to cut your losses, move to the next target. And that's the thing, too. Don't look at this as me when there's a plate of food in front of me. I am one of those guys that will sit there and eat one thing at a time. Don't ask me why. It's just how I've done it. I don't anticipate that front offices are going to just sit there and go, okay, I'm going to eat one thing, and then I'm going to go to the next, and I'm going to go to the next. I think that front offices are looking at what's on the plate and what they need to fill up the plate with. And I can't believe I'm doing an eating analogy, but that's where we were. But I don't think you're just eating one thing at a time on the plate and then going to the next and going to the next. I think that you're looking at multiple things on the plate. You're trying to figure out how you can mix your pork tenderloin and your mashed potatoes at the same time with a little gravy maybe, or barbecue sauce or what have you. So, no, I don't think that any front office is just looking at one thing and going, okay, let's work on this one thing. And then when this one thing is either yay or nay, then we'll go to the next. I think that they're working the phones a lot. That's working the phones and WhatsApp and all these kinds of things. I don't think they're just doing one thing at a time, though. Bam. One ironclad reason the USA won't win the World Cup is that it's the USWNT and FC. So Bam is already running smack. We haven't started any kind of started anything. No matches. I think 3 a.m. is the first match, by the way. 3 a.m., which definitely we will not be awake for at all. But it is 3 a.m. Not happening. A lot of stuff on TV today, by the way. 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 10:30. New Zealand, Norway, Australia, Ireland at 6. Nigeria, Canada at 10:30. So when we all get up in the morning, it'll be Australia, Ireland, Nigeria, Canada. Then Nigeria, Canada will be on the final half hour of the show tomorrow, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll be looking off to our left and not doing anything resembling play-by-play so we don't get in any trouble with any of the rights holders. But today, we mentioned what's going on today. It is Copa Sudamericana on BN and BN en Español. You can catch that on fanatisfntz.co/soccer down here. 6 and 8, Botafogo, Patronato, Emelec, and Sporting Cristal. One match in the USL Championship, Detroit City is trying to get off the schneid, but they've got Lou City coming to Keyworth. That's at 7 o'clock. International friendlies, Manchester United, Lyon is going on right now. 2 o'clock, Real Betis and Monaco. Chelsea and Wrexham, I'm sure, which will blow up everything. That is going to be all over the place. It's on ESPN Deportes at 7:30, and probably going to get a lot of numbers on ESPN Deportes. Season pass has the All-Star game at 8:30. So 8:30, manufactured until 11 o'clock as a TV product. On the plus, club friendlies, Betis Monaco at 2. New Mexico United and Sunderland is at 9 o'clock. That's an interesting one out there at the lab. USL Championships on the plus at 7. League One, Charlotte and Greenville. Carolina's Derby. That is at 7 o'clock on the plus. Next Pro has the tournament that is going on out in Harriman, Utah. It is Real Monarchs and Crystal Palace is U21s. Paramount Plus, Argentine Primera, 3:30, 8:30. Argentinos Juniors, Boca Juniors at 8:30. And UEFA Champions League, baby. UEFA Champions League start at 11 o'clock. A club known as Valmiera is playing somebody called BSS Olympia. That's at 11 a.m. Ferencváros, our friends from Hungary, are playing KI at noon. And Swift Hesperange is playing Slovan Bratislava at 2 o'clock. The MLS next All-Star game is at 10:30 in the morning on TikTok. So for those of you that are TikTokers, you can watch the MLS next All-Star game at 10:30. But yeah, tomorrow morning, 3 a.m. New Zealand, Norway, 6 a.m. Australia, Ireland, 10:30 it is Nigeria and Canada, 10:30 p.m. Nigeria and Canada, and 10:30 a.m. So 10:30 p.m. would be 12:30 in the afternoon. Okay, so Nigeria, Canada, 12:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. So 2 in the morning, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 10:30. So I guess we have to look at it almost like that, whereas it's 10:30 p.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m. when it comes to the actual thing. So, yeah, very, very busy Wednesday with your soccer on the telly. So we got that. Yeah, Emilio, I did mention Ron Hainsey and the Thrashers. Don Waddell has, God bless him, found a home in Carolina. He's done really well with that bunch of jerks. But, yeah, a lot of folks looked at that Ron Hainsey deal as basically smacking of desperation. You needed a defenseman, and you overpaid for him. Thiago, right, made the first 3 shots, did it in 34 seconds. Alex watched the whole thing. Nix didn't watch a thing. And this is, it's polarizing. The amusement park aspect of it, the home run derby, those kinds of things. And that's why I asked, because do you watch like the other stuff leading into the NBA All-Star game, or do you just watch the All-Star game? Do you watch home run derby and all the other stuff that leads into Major League Baseball's All-Star game? That's why I was asking. When you watch these things, do you watch the amusement park that comes on the night before, or do you just watch the game? And it seems like it's 50-50. Bam didn't watch it at all, but he did have it on in the background. Watch when Bouanga stepped up. Yeah, man, that was classic. Ricky's always enjoyed the All-Star skills competitions. No, Matt Turner wasn't there. It was Ramsdale and Runerson. And Runerson was having problems, although he was active in Crossbar Challenge. Abby still wish it was MLS and not another team from another country. Correct. As a public service, I may repost it again as to how we fix the All-Star game. I may do that later today, just as kind of a thing. To repost it on the network. That 45 minutes where we all workshopped it and came up with a better mousetrap was some of the best stuff we've ever done. Some of the most fun stuff, too. Emilio did not watch. Austin Trusty, yes. Austin Trusty won it for Arsenal. And everyone was cursing. Everyone was cursing. Abby switching the computer because apparently things are a little goofy. Abby, I will see. I legitimately will see if there are trapper keepers, because once again, the reminder of making sure that you guys, if you're going to Wild Heaven Friday night, take your school supplies. We're trying to fill up an entire Subaru. I'm guessing it's a Highlander, but take school supplies. We're trying to help out those that Subaru of Gwinnett's associated with, and making sure that they're going to be ready for the upcoming school year. Take as many school supplies as you can handle, because you know that it's only going to be a one-way street. You're not going to have to take them home. Do that. So Friday at Wild Heaven West End, where we watch U.S. and Vietnam. Take school supplies, and if they've got trapper keepers still available, I will take them. Abby on the puppy, because she knows we take it away from her. The son left it in reach. She knows it'll get attention. Emilio, puppies have baby teeth and are teething. You need to place all items out of reach. You ain't kidding. Well, Emilio, you've also got injuries too. Don't forget that. Having Gigi in and then out and then in and then out, you don't have the stability of lineup, especially at the position that you wanted to really have at the forefront this upcoming season. Ricky, last time we cut our losses and moved on, the next player we got was Luis. Get the right guy. Abby, try and give her what she loves, rawhide and ice cubes. Ricky and Bam going back and forth. When we do, you better be awake and not asleep. Still may have to get that the country Georgia flag. Yeah, for Saba Lozhanidze. No updates on Lozhanidze or on Diego Rossi as of this morning. Haven't seen anything yet. We'll keep an eye on that. Well, no, Ricky, it's not, the way that Ricky says I'm not going to get in trouble because I just mentioned the World Championship, mention it as the World Championship, and mention that the past country that hosted. I do that on purpose now, because if I choose not to recognize the tournament for being what it was, and for all of the issues that we still continue to talk about all of these months later. Wait, security was brought in and they're not getting paid. Workers came in, basically sent into indentured servitude, had their passports taken. Passports aren't being returned. They're not allowed to go back to their home countries. I refuse to acknowledge the country because of all of the human rights violations that are going on. And so I don't even refer to it as the World Cup. It is a World Championship, and the country that was in it in the Middle East is a past host. I'm that mad. That's why I reference it that way. Adult teeth only hit dogs under 30 pounds. Abby was watching the Braves until skills. Back to the Braves game. You probably didn't miss much considering all of the goals. Wow. All the runs that were scored, because apparently the game was Ricky, the Braves game was nuts. And that was the deal. It was nuts. So you probably ducked out, watched the skills competition, didn't miss much. All you missed was offense. You didn't miss any innings. Bam is going to be at Nigeria, Canada. That's awesome. And apparently there's number of tickets that have been sold. That's a huge number. You like that. Like I said, Gianni Infantino had his speech. We'll go over that coming up in just a little bit. It's a miniature poodle with Abby. They all get adult teeth by 8 months. We'll have no dog that poops bigger than me. I'm right there with you. May end up 15 pounds when she's full grown. Foster kittens. See now, Uncle, when you got foster kittens, they want to run around all over the place. Literally, that is one of the, when you've got foster kittens, you've got to keep an eye on them the entire time so they don't get in any kind of trouble. So I completely understand why you didn't watch. The OG listened to it on Sirius, and to your point, OG, this is probably the way that you needed to listen. It was Dunny, it was Brian Dunseth and Tom Rennie. And having those two on radio doing their stream of consciousness, week in the tackle-ish commentary on something that was the Funhouse last night. That's probably the way to listen. So I give SiriusXM full credit for having Dunny and Rennie there and doing it that way. Absolutely did. Emilio was in a Publix in 03 when you found out about Slava Kozlov. Yeah, that was, yep. That was, don't even get me started on Atlanta Spirit. Atlanta Spirit down here would be a massive show, at least from this end. Subarus have small trunks, the only drawback. But I think, Emilio, what they're doing is they're opening all the windows. So literally it's like throwing it all into the car, not just in the trunk. Literally you're throwing stuff in the driver's seat, you're throwing stuff in the back seat, you're throwing stuff in the trunk, literally all over the place. Seriously. All of the stuff from all the school supplies, they're going all in the car. It's not just like in the trunk, from what I understand. They're rolling down the windows and literally, if they've got to shovel stuff out of the driver's seat so they can drive that thing back to Subaru of Gwinnett, I think that's what their goal should be. So we'll keep an eye on that. 4-2 when Abby left for the skills competition, 12-12, and you came back. Yeah, and that's, like I said, Abby knows that we've got a Subaru. We've got a Forester as our second car. That is an unsolicited endorsement. We wanted a larger car than the sedan that we had. And when the Beast broke up, when the Beast finally died, we were like, yep, let's get a big one. So that's where we are. Let's get into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo and all the news and stuff. And Johnny Infantino, like I said, and we'll do a lot of World Cup stuff, obviously, in hour number 2 and get you ready. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning, provided it loads. There we go. All right, took a minute. Chelsea considering a move for Harry Maguire as Wesley Fofana faces a lengthy spell on the sidelines after knee surgery. 3-letter paper says that Bayern Munich have held peace talks with Daniel Levy in their bid to sign Harry Kane. Newcastle could soon complete a deal for Harvey Barnes. They're looking at 35 to 40 million. All these numbers are in pounds unless otherwise notified. Arrival could mean the departure of Alain Saint-Maximin, who's attracted interest from the Saudi Pro League. 4-letter paper. Keep an eye on that. The number is 25 million euro, apparently, from Al Ahly for Saint-Maximin. That's from L'Equipe. Liverpool unlikely to accept the 50 million euro Al Hilal are preparing to offer for Luis Diaz. Aston Villa have made an improved bid of almost 43 million pounds for Bayer Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby. Manchester United will make a bid on Rasmus Højlund at Atalanta if Atalanta do not reduce their 70 million euro evaluation. United will turn their attention to Eintracht Frankfurt forward Randall Colomwani. Marseille set to hold talks with Chelsea about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, having agreed to a 3-year deal with the striker. Chelsea want more than 40 million for Conor Gallagher. West Ham's keen to sign him. Crystal Palace should be too, but that's just me. Bayern Munich willing to sell Joshua Kimmich. That's off of Kicker in German. Manchester United's Alex Telles is close to a deal to Al Nassr. That's from our friends at The Athletic. Spurs in talks with Napoli over selling Giovanni Lo Celso. Liverpool have widened the age profile of transfer targets to replace Fabinho, who is 29, who's going to be joining Al Ittihad, Steven Gerrard's club, now, for 40 million. Fulham's Joao Palhinha is a possibility. They're going to be spending a lot more than 40. Atletico Madrid says that Joao Felix, who had a loan spell at Chelsea last season, says, quote, "It has always been my dream to play for Barcelona." That's from Fabrizio Romano. Gremio striker Luis Suarez is close to joining Lionel Messi at Inter Miami. We'll get into that in just a second. And Luton Town are set to sign Marvelous Nakamba from Aston Villa. So, Luis Suarez, Gaston Edul came out on Twitter yesterday and laid all this out for us. Gaston Edul works at Teise. 736,000 followers on the Bird app, so you figure he's pretty tight. So yesterday, Gaston Edul says this. Luis Suarez approaches Inter Miami. They've been negotiating for a long time. Progress has been made in Inter Miami. They believe they will have a deal shortly. And legitimately, I'm just to the point, and when you do the search, it ends up being Luis Suarez and Gaston Edul, 1 and 2. You have a lot of folks sitting there saying, Jorge _Mas says, I don't know how Luis Suarez can leave Gremio, but if he does, we're free to talk to Luis and bring him to Inter Miami. Possibility would be there. So you're looking right now. Tata, Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, who is coming in short order. Once again, we talked about once the birth of his son and, once the birth of his son and his self-imposed paternity leave is taken care of, then he's going to join. And then now you're looking at Luis Suarez. So you're looking at Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, possibly Luis Suarez. Now remember, Gremio was going to put the retirement clause in the contract, the anti-Inter Miami clause. So that way he couldn't just retire and Gremio couldn't get they could get $0 on the deal. So now what? Quoting Wayne Rooney in a recent interview, he says, Messi comes, Busquets comes, you hear Suarez is coming, Jordi Alba's coming. Here's the key. So for Inter Miami, it's about to be very interesting to see how they fit all of them in. But for the league, I think it's huge. It is. Jorge Mas has downplayed the rumors. Played together at Barcelona. There's been a lot of talk about Luis Suarez coming. We haven't held direct talks with Gremio or with Suarez. I don't know how, and then it goes into the I don't know how Luis Suarez can leave Gremio quote. But question is, how do you fit them all in? How do you fit them all in? Thank you, Ricky. ESPN FC. All right, so ESPN FC says this. They says this. David Beckham says that Lionel Messi's Inter Miami presentation had 3.5 billion views. How? What's your metric? How did you think, allegedly, possibly, probably, maybe? Yeah, that's the question, Ricky. 3.5 billion views. I feel like I should do my Dr. Evil. It's Dr. Evil. Yeah. Well, and Tafka will get into rule changes and things like that. But the deal is 3.5 billion views for that. And now the question is, are you adding TikTok clips, Twitter, Facebook? I mean, how are you measuring 3.5 billion views? Is there an exchange rate in there somewhere? From US to metric? Whatever translates its way out. 3.5 billion views. I don't know how you got 3.5 billion views of that, sir. I would like to know your metrics, and I'd like to know how you ended up getting all those views. Sure, I'd love to. I'd love to know. 3.5 billion views. Good on you, if that's in fact what happened. And Tafka, how's it going to happen? Rule changes. Because right now, Pizarro out, Messi in. You got 2 DP slots left. Campana and Gregory. You got to figure out what to do. They'll probably buy Gregory down to make him a high AM. So that opens up the Busquets slot probably. Because I think the top end value of an AM salary has to be like $1.65 million. Any higher than that, then you're turning into DP stuff. This is where, when we were talking about all of those NIL deals, how do you make them fit? How do you make them fit? Busquets gets a piece of the action when it comes to marketing. Jordi Alba, the same thing. I mean, obviously, you can't do the thing with Messi like you did with the 50 to 60 million value where you get a piece of the action from Apple and all these others. But Messi was the first in the door, so he got that deal. Suarez, maybe. Jordi Alba coming in. Michelle Kaufman has been confident about that from the Miami Herald for quite some time. Jordi Alba, okay, great, fine. I'm guessing because you weren't the first one in the door, it's going to have to be some kind of a marketing thing where it's like, okay, you get a piece of the action from the outfitters about, from Adidas about your jerseys and things like that. But you got 2 DP slots you got to figure out. Or legitimately, look, you just get to the point to where, honestly, if I'm the Moss brothers, and Jared has said this on the show, if I'm the Moss brothers right now, I'm like, F it. Stop me. I'm going to pay these guys this. You already got in trouble once for having 5 DPs when you should have had 3. But if you are spending this kind of money or you are laying out this kind of 3-dimensional marketing to bring in Lionel Messi and turn it into Barcelona West, look, much like a lot of other folks here, we've gotten to the point to where it's just like, look, changes have to be made. You can't have the current salary structure with all of these AM designations. You can't have the current salary structure with only 3 designated players. If you want to be taken seriously and retake the crown over the Saudi Pro League about which league is better, tongue firmly planted in cheek, you've got to change the rules. You've got to change the rules of engagement. If you want to add a DP, fine. That's a start. You've got to have a cap, but make it a big cap. But you've also got to have a ceiling. You've got to have a ceiling. You've got to have a floor. If it was something like 80 and 20, 80 million cap, 20 million floor, because teams go about building themselves different ways, you've got to do things differently now. You've attracted Lionel Messi. You've attracted Sergi Busquets. You've attracted Jordi Alba. You're allegedly attracting Luis Suarez to one location. You got to fix this stuff. Fix it. Because you bring in all these folks to Barcelona West, you got to change the rules. Morning, Tom. It is the hour mark of the show. So before we bring in, Bart is styling today. So that's a tease. That's what we call a tease. All right. So Bart is styling. We'll get into that in just a second. So since Bart does not have the copy to read the Eliminize promo, I'm going to have to do this myself. So change the volume of the background music. Just once. Just leave it to where I keep it. Here we go. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Eliminize service. The Eliminize service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize service to eliminate bad odors. They eliminate them too. To sell or rent their homes that much faster. Turnkey process makes it easy to work with, said realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment, offering a green way to go about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that you have either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard to get out that masking agent, you spray the masking agent out in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. Say the secret word, went $100. Because all you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem. all the way down to the molecule. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, and come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. This is where I grab my pen. Lemonize.com is the place, but after the .com, do us a favor. Go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your problems. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta. Lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything here at SDH. On a Wall Pass Wednesday, where our sleep cycles are going to be challenged to the bitter ends. Folks are going to be learning the value of naps because, Bart, there's something called a World Cup that's going to start real soon or something, I think.
Yeah, it starts literally tonight, I guess, or this morning. Whatever. I don't know how to refer to this right now, John. It starts at 3 a.m.
Right there. Yes. Starts at 3 a.m. That's probably
3 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Tonight, I don't know. And then obviously you get a double feature with New Zealand kicking off at 3, and then the big one, John. Full on Stadium Australia, sold out for Australia Ireland. That's at 6 a.m. So you can just wake up early for that.
Oh no, not happening. No.
Or you stay up late, or you wake up at midnight. Whatever one works for you.
No. I will be watching the final 20 minutes of that match. And having all of those who are incredibly intelligent in discussing national teams and World Cups and things like that. Y'all can get up early. You can let me know about what happened in the first 70 minutes plus the intermission and the halftime show to lay things out.
I have a quick request, John. If you have a refereeing down here question,
yes,
put it in the chat so we make sure we do get to it eventually.
Yeah, I could probably. There are a couple of dudes who I'm sure are going to sit there and have questions about them.
Specific to the events from Atlanta United games the past week, maybe the Gold Cup final, stuff like that.
Yes, so
not some obscure Iranian or Australian A-League stuff. I haven't watched that. I'm sorry.
No, I have not either because it would be on too early in the morning for me to watch unless it's on tape or something like that.
That's true.
So, that's what you're staring at. So reffing down here is a part of this discussion. If there are reffing down here moments where we can talk about folks that lose control of matches and things like that and are completely and totally unbalanced in their administration of both whistles and cards and overcorrections and things like that. That would be your hashtag reffing down here. Tafka had a question for Arsenal people this morning. First and foremost, did you watch last night?
I did.
So what did you think of the fun? What did you think of the fun house?
I think actually the skills challenge is really fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is, if you're going to bring in European teams like this, I think the skills challenge is actually a way to get them involved because it's not a real game, so the players can feel like they can have fun. They can enjoy the moment. There's still competition. Obviously, you saw Aaron Ramsdale, very competitive. You saw him cheering on the goalie wars, which was great. I think it's competitive fun. So for me as a fan watching it, it was nice to see. Obviously, watching the American Austin Trusty win it was pretty cool. And also seeing that MLS clearly made the mistake of trusting guys like Ricky Puig and others who are not Thiago Almada to try to win them the skills challenge, and that backfired. What I learned last night, trust Thiago Almada.
Yeah, that's not a hard one. Tafka, in his thoughts, and since he had one wall Passian question that was Arsenal based, and that was why I wanted to save it for you. Tafka's asking, which is the biggest waste of money by Arsenal? The extra $40 million they paid on Declan Rice, or the extra $40 million they paid on Kai Havertz?
We'll see how Havertz performs this season. I still think we overpaid for Declan Rice, but we needed to get him, and we wanted to get him. So yes, it was overpay, but that's also the English player tax. We all assign greater value to English players than they actually deserve.
They assign it to themselves. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's
They
right.
also do that to themselves as a nation. They think they're more important than they actually are, and they're just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But it's it really was a need of ours. So especially with Xhaka leaving, so I don't know if we overpaid. I think we'll see how Havertz does this season. I don't know where he fits in terms of a starter or a backup. So maybe we overpaid on a guy who may not be starting all that much. I don't know where he fits in. He could be starting in the midfield. He could be starting at striker, but I don't think he's a true starter in the sense of he's locked in. So probably that one was a bigger overpay.
Yeah. Premier League's overpaying. Who knew? All right. So we have this world competition starting like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And it is, it's going to be fun to see how things develop 14 hours ahead, because then I can find out what I had for lunch and if I'm going to be in a traffic accident. If I'm watching stuff from Australia, they'll tell me 14 hours ahead of time what's going to happen. We've got superlatives. I know that you've got ideas as to like all the trivia questions and predictions and stuff. Let me get into that, because I also want to go over with you the Soccer America article, because I want to keep the U.S. discussion. I want to take that chunk and have it on its own. The 11 ironclad reasons why the U.S. will win the World Cup. And so Soccer America did that as a group. I want to put the U.S. discussion over to the side. All right. So without getting into any real detail, this might be kind of a rapid fiery kind of a thing. So who's going to win it?
Let's go. Oh, so I don't know yet. I think I've said on here publicly Germany, and then Germany had two big stinkers. So I don't know, Bern, what your girls are doing there, but they need to figure it out. I do think I have that semifinal on that side of the bracket being France versus Germany. Still, I think I think the winner of that semifinal wins the tournament. Right now, I'm not confident enough to say Germany anymore. I think in my bracket challenge, I may have just picked France. I'm curious how Hervé Renard's coaching actually lifts France, because that's kind of been the thing that's held them back for so long. So we're going to go with France right now.
Okay, so who's going to be your biggest disappointment?
So do you want my personal, like the one that I think actually will be disappointing compared to what I expect, or do you want the world's disappointment?
I want all three.
Okay, so personally, I think Canada will be very disappointing because they could get grouped. Ireland is a competent team that plays a style of play that will frustrate Canada, because you'll force Canada have to actually do the soccering, which is not something that they do very well,
right,
on men's or women's side. I don't know. I'm not fully going to put my eggs in the basket of Canada not making out of the group, but I do think Canada will struggle. And if they don't win the group, they'll face England in the first round, and I do not think they beat England. So a round of 16 exit for Canada, who has medaled in the past. Let's see, they medaled in 2015, medaled in 2019, and won gold in 2020. That would be a disappointment. The other one that I think will be a disappointment, because everyone thinks that they're the greatest thing that's ever existed, is Spain. I don't have them making it past the quarterfinals personally. They're not a team that does particularly well at the international stage. I think that they benefit from playing, their players benefit from playing in a very, very weak league where they do not have to focus at all on league play. And that means they get to focus all on Champions League, and that benefits them. They also have a lot of money, so they buy a lot of very good players. When it comes to the actual full national team, I just don't see how. I mean, I have them winning their first ever knockout round in an international competition, but I don't see them progressing very far. And I think a lot of people think they're a dark horse to win it. I just don't see that.
All right. Now, who then, with these two thoughts that are prevailing thoughts so far, who is going to get Golden Boot?
So I've tried to think about this, because there are two in the article I sent you from FIFA. There are two women from the U.S. listed: Alex Morgan, Sophia Smith.
Yeah,
and I think it's very likely that either of them could win Golden Boot, but they're in a very stingy group, right? Portugal does not give up a whole lot of goals. Netherlands will be a tough competition. I don't think Vietnam's going to be the 13-0 game that we had back in 2019. That said, I have the U.S. going to the final. So if the U.S. is making it to the final, I think Sophia Smith has to be in that Golden Boot conversation. The other one I have that I think are almost no-brainers, Diani from France, and like conversely or paired with that would be Pop. Like I said, I think either Germany or France make that final. And I just think if you make the final, you're likely winning Golden Boot. Pop has proven to be a very efficient striker throughout the club season. And I think the way Germany will need to win will need to be Alex Pop scoring goals. I don't think France needs Diani to score to win. I think they have other attacking talents. I just think she'll benefit from having all the attacking talent on the field.
Top 10 presented by our friends at FIFA. Alex Morgan at 5-1. They actually did juice boxes on this, which I thought
I don't buy that. I'm really sorry. I don't know if Alex Morgan is going to start as much as or play as much as people think, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Sophia Smith at 7-1. So those are the two that you had in mind. Rachel Daly, Sam Kerr, Alex Pop, all at 14-1.
The reason I don't have Kerr or Daly winning is because I don't have them going particularly far in the knockouts. Australia, I do think will win a knockout round game. They're likely to play Denmark in their first round of 16 match. I think that's a win. But Australia is also, again, a very tough group. Ireland doesn't give up a whole lot of goals. Canada doesn't give up a whole lot of goals. Nigeria is a tricky team to play against, and they don't concede as many goals as I think they would need to score to get themselves in that Golden Boot conversation. Same with Rachel Daly. I think her group is pretty weak with Haiti and China and Denmark, but I don't have them going very far in the knockout rounds.
Esther Gonzalez, Jenny Hermoso, both at 16-1.
Well, Spain's got a very tough group with Zambia and Japan, and then also Costa Rica. So I don't know what their goal scoring output's going to look like. And like I also said, I don't see them going too far in the knockout rounds.
18-1 is Alba Redondo. Diani and is at 20-1 along with Alessia Russo.
Yeah, Russo is interesting because I don't think she's a locked-in starter right now for England, right? It seems like Rachel Daly is that starter. Russo, I think, will do similarly to how she did at Euros, come off the bench. She was very effective, but that leaves you less time to score goals. So, like I said, I think you're looking at Smith, Pop, or Diani because I think they're going to be far. They're going to go far in the tournament.
When you look at the first-timers, and there's a lot of them. Obviously, expanded fields will do that, but
yeah, which is good. I just want to point that out real quick. I think the fact that we're playing 32 teams is fantastic for the women's game.
Haiti, Morocco, Panama, the Philippines, Portugal, Ireland, Vietnam, Zambia, all making their first appearances here in this particular World Championship.
Yes.
Which one of these debutantes do you see making the biggest impact or the biggest or the loudest noise, I guess?
Yikes. Okay, run through that group again.
Haiti.
Yeah.
Morocco.
Possibly, but probably no. They're
Panama.
in a weak group.
Panama.
Panama, no.
Philippines.
Definitely not.
Portugal.
No, but yes. Can you answer no, but yes on them?
Yeah, you can answer no, but yes. That's perfectly fine.
I think Portugal and Morocco are in similar. I think Portugal will make noise because I think they'll hold either the U.S. or Netherlands to a draw.
Ireland
will be noisy. I think Ireland is the one that has the most potential to make noise because they could get out of their group. I don't think Morocco makes it out of their group, but they could also be noisy. They might finish last though.
Vietnam.
No.
Zambia.
Possibly. I think Zambia has the potential. I think they're up against two teams in Spain and Japan that lack the physical dominance that I think Zambia has shown they can absolutely give. Zambia has been fun to watch throughout the African Championship, and obviously you just saw them beat Germany very recently. I do think Ireland has the best chance to make it out of their group. That's where I stand. That said, I don't know if any of those teams necessarily make it out. But Ireland would be my choice.
Biggest disappointment in the tournament will be Canada, you think?
Well, for me personally, Canada, but I think, again, from the overall international women's soccer stage, they all, I mean, I say they, every U.S. soccer or U.S. women's national team Twitter account, every WOSO Twitter account loves Spain, think that that's the greatest thing that's ever existed. And I think if they don't make a semifinal, it'll be disappointing. And I don't think they'll make a semifinal. I have them losing to Sweden right now in the quarters. Who is a very good team, but always the bridesmaids, never the bride.
Emilio's asking about Italy. What do you think about the Italian side?
I have Italy not making out of the group. They're in a group with Sweden and South Africa. I think Sweden wins that group. I think South Africa gets out of that group because, again, I think South Africa presents a difficult challenge for Italy and Argentina. Two teams that are very technical, very beautiful playing. That's not South Africa. They're going to play quick, exciting soccer, and that's not how Italy and Argentina play. So I think South Africa might be getting out of that group. That's what I have right now.
Bam is saying don't sleep on the Philippines because their coach used to coach Australia.
I think that's a good choice. Philippines do not have the talent. I think they have a really good coach, and that's fair. They don't have the talent.
Bam also says the Matildas will make the final.
But I wouldn't hate that coach to be the U.S. coach after this tournament.
Bam also says,
"Oh,
yeah."
Sorry, real quick. Soccer for Good OG. Go follow the Bra House ATL. They are doing a bracket challenge. That's a women's soccer or women's sports group here in Atlanta. They're doing a bracket challenge. So the Bra House ATL, like bra, like bra
Brazier?
House
Like
ATL.
Yes, like Brazier. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Bam says the Matildas will make the final. Curl get double team. The other girls will score plenty.
I think once you get farther in the tournament, and by that I mean they play France most likely in the quarterfinals, and then they would have to play England or Germany in the semifinal. No, they will have a better tactical game plan than just double team Sam Kerr, because they'll have defender. I mean, you telling me that Sam Kerr and Wendy Renard, like that's going to be an interesting battle.
Woo.
Sam Kerr thrives off of chaos in the box, and Wendy Renard is not chaos.
Abby, with the most obvious, most important question for you. Are you packed yet?
I'm not packed yet. That's my goal today and tomorrow. So today is get all my laundry done, make sure it's together and packed. But luckily, most of the packing I need to do is cold weather clothes, so like that won't be too bad. I will shout out Nick Alifi for giving the idea of vacuum packed.
Yes.
I don't know how that's going to work because I'm going to see how that's going to work. My question is just how do I vacuum seal it again to get back?
Well, I mean, now I guess at the end of your visit, are you staying in a hotel or are you going to be like?
We're in an Airbnb. We'll be in an Airbnb in Sydney, so maybe they have a vacuum there.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. Does your Airbnb have a vacuum cleaner?
Yeah, I'll have to ask. I think if anything, I'm going to vacuum pack the second week of clothes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that way I can kind of access that a little bit easier.
So I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that's pretty solid. And Bam, reminder: remember the price you see in New Zealand and Australia is the price you pay. Tax is included.
Yes, and as I've learned so far, my bank account does love those prices because they are the New Zealand and Australia prices listed are a lot cheaper compared to American dollars. It's great.
$40.
Yeah, Abby, I have Ziploc bags ready to go. My ready to go. I got plenty of those. My dad hooked me up from an account that he has with Ziploc bags, or storage bags. I can't call them Ziploc, but yeah. Thank you, Abby.
Yes, Ziploc bags for all that kind of stuff. And so are you like leaving like first thing Saturday morning?
Our flight is noon Saturday from Atlanta, so not first thing, but got to get up slightly early and get there. Bam, I do need to know. Okay, so I think we've talked about like food that I need to try in Australia, but there's nothing like super, crazy. But that does sound good. A chicken parm with chips. In Sydney, though, I need to know: is there any site that I need to see that's not the Opera House? Right? Like, what's like we got to go there. We're staying in Bondi Junction when we first enter, and we're staying kind of on the west side. We're staying the 2 weekends around our trip. So Bondi Junction at the beginning, and then somewhere on the west side for the second weekend for that round of 16 match. So if you have any recommendations on sites to see, let me know. I am going to try to possibly go to that AFL game because it's the Friday or Saturday or whatever before.
Excellent. Go to the GABA.
Try. So yeah. And no, I don't need an Uber or Abby ride to the airport. I have a MARTA station 2 blocks from my house. But thank you.
I will probably be listening to that AFL match because Bam, as we all know, Triple M talks footy. So I have my AFL app on my phone, and so I always make a point to listen to the AFL games until they pop up on FS2 late night on Friday and Saturday. I've been a junkie of the AFL ever since like VFL days when it was on ESPN late night, and they'd make a big deal of the grand final.
I remember watching it on Fox Sports World, so that's why I kind of want to go. But that was back when I was, young and didn't have a sleep schedule. So.
Yeah, really. All right, so Soccer America. Now we're going to focus on those two of those colors that you have that you're wearing this morning. Yes, also drive on the left, so when crossing the road, look both ways. Absolutely correct. You don't want a Ted Lasso moment.
You're supposed to look both ways when crossing the road.
Look both ways before you cross the street.
From Atlanta, we don't even look.
Exactly.
Just cross. What are you talking about?
Roger Director and David Hershey over at Soccer America Confidential. The 11 ironclad reasons why the U.S. will win the 2023 Women's World Cup. We will take them individually and go from here. So, and we'll address them point by point. And then if there was a reffing down here comment that basically had to do with last weekend, but we'll get into that. Reason number one, you can't beat what you can't see. Who was that just whooshed by in a blur? Was it Trinity Rodman, Alyssa Thompson, or wait, was that Lynn Williams? The World Cup has never witnessed speed as sick as the U.S. front line is about to unleash.
I think that's a legitimate reason why the U.S. will go far is because at the end of the day, you have 3 to 5 players who, at the drop of a hat, can make magic happen. That was going to kind of be the thing with Mal Pugh is how dynamic she was going to be and how surprising she could be. But we still have Lynn Williams. We still have Trinity Rodman. We still have Sophia Smith. We have Alyssa Thompson. And then we have, Alex Morgan. So, yeah, I think the speed on the wings especially is going to be crazy.
Number 2, Crystal Dunn is actually 2 players. One is a tenacious, marauding lockdown defender, and the other is, well, let's just say that as a midfielder forward, she once led the NWSL in scoring with 15 goals. Quote, I can't help where I'm asked to play on my club. I love playing midfield, but the reality is I'm preparing for a World Cup, and what this team needs for me to be is the best outside back I can be, and I accept the challenge, end quote.
Well, she's an outside back. She is a very good one. She's won a World Cup at that, but I think we all know that she would be better off in the midfield. However, it's not ruled out that she would do that. I think that's something we need to remember is it's not ruled out she won't be in the midfield. Vlatko has said that, especially if, injuries happen. I could see it where she gets played in the midfield. Crystal Dunn is a very, very good player. She doesn't get the respect she deserves. And she will make a lot of teams very concerned as an attacking fullback. That's for sure.
Number 3, Alex Morgan is bigger than Michael Jordan because they've unleashed a statue of Alex Morgan touring the country that is 20 feet tall or 8 feet larger than the one of Michael Jordan at the United Center. Just as Lady Liberty has never dropped her torch, you can rest assured Morgan will not let the 2023 trophy slip from her grasp.
As I said previously on the show this morning, I am not convinced Alex Morgan will be starting and playing every game. I think that you will see some of Alex Morgan during the tournament. I think she'll be a key factor, but I do think that you'll see either Sophia Smith in that center forward role or Trinity Rodman in that center forward role because Alex has not had a great NWSL season. Now, that said, she could very easily turn it on for the World Cup as she has been known to do. So,
Number 4, every elite team has someone standing by the door to make sure undesirables are denied entry. The U.S. has Julie Ertz, finally back after 20 months away due to an injury in the birth of her first child. Ertz is the USWNT bouncer, and anyone trying to get past her will wind up regretting that decision.
I think Julie Ertz is the secret for this team because we're not quite sure no one knows where she is at physically from injury recovery standpoint. And I think that if she is fully healthy, which from what Vlatko said, she and Rose were held out of the send-off friendly out of an abundance of caution. If she's fully healthy, then yeah, I think that point is legitimate because she will clean up a lot. And she's also very good at helping us facilitate quicker attacks.
Number 5, Soccer America is making the point that the Golden Boot will fit very nicely on Sophia Smith's foot. She may look 15, but she has the goal-scoring mojo of someone who can throw the rest of the world into her personal blender.
Yeah.
Grinding, crushing, and pureeing defenses within an inch of their life.
I think this is the one that I agree most with is like if Sophia Smith goes on, and which, by the way, she was at that level before she broke for international play because her last couple NWSL games were stellar. If she can do that, the U.S. is going to be fine. Like, there's not a team in the world. Let me rephrase that. There's not a team there's not a team that will face until the semifinals that can truly contain her. And then at that point, you're looking at, okay, well, Sophia Smith's not having a good game. Alex Morgan might. Trinity Rodman might. Lynn Williams might. So that's kind of, again, the secret for the U.S. is how do you get the ball to your playmakers? Because you have a lot of them.
Number 6.
And their feet. We can't play it over the top, John. We cannot play it over the top. We have to get it to their feet. Sorry.
Okay. Number 6, the mom factor. The USWNT now has 3 mothers in their lineup. Dunn, Morgan, and Ertz. In the last World Cup, you only had one in Jessica McDonald. That represents a 200% upgrade in motherhood, and you know moms, they don't settle for less than the best, plus you can always count on them for orange slices at the half.
I think that's a funny take. And obviously we won a World Cup with only one mom on it. But you look at 2015, there were a couple more moms out there. I look, the determination it takes to come back from giving birth is incredible. And we have several on this team, and that's good.
Number 7.
Also, they have really cute kids, so I'm excited for the social media content from that.
Well, that and the possible World Cup sides in 2035 and 2039.
Yes. Also, they have small trophies and small plush Tazumi toys, and I'm really excited to see the kids with those. So one of those is definitely coming home with me.
I was going to say, and figure out where you can grab 1 or 2 of those and ship them home. I know you.
Yeah.
Number 7, the team knows how to vibe shift. Quote, "We don't get nervous," says Emily Sonnet. "If things get tight, we just work harder, run faster, and kick ass," end quote. As the team's unofficial mood lightener, Sonnet's an impish presence in the locker room when she isn't scything down opponents on the field.
And that's something that I think the U.S. national team has gotten right over the past couple tournaments, is players like Sonnet, who may not necessarily be major contributors on the field, but bring good vibes in the locker room. I think of Allie Long, who I don't think is a very good soccer player comparatively, but has always been, a fantastic locker room person. She's good. She's not a Christian Roldan just being included for nothing, but she's a very good player. But she wasn't. I don't ever think she was quite international level. I think Sonnet fills that role where she is going to bring the positive vibes, the intensity, and this team, the U.S. national team, has always had that, right? Where when it comes time to go win a tournament. And we even saw it in the Olympics, right, where we didn't play very well. But when it came time for the knockouts, you saw a much more determined team against Netherlands, and you saw a team bounce back well against Australia in that gold and the bronze medal match. So hopefully there's not a bounce back like that, but the determination factor, I think, is big for this team.
Number 8, the White House is on our side this time. Buoyed by the exuberant support of President Joe Biden, the women's national team has a standing invitation to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue as soon as they hoist the trophy in Sydney on August 20th. And what sane person would decline the largesse of a man who, at the press of a button, could destroy the world? The USWNT would never be so rude. Once again, trying to be
definitely
trying to be ha-ha funny.
Yeah, no, definitely a stark contrast to the last time they were in a World Cup. So, yeah.
Yeah. Point 9, and I know that this is one that's going to pull your hair out. In Vlatko we trust. Sure, we were ready to strap the WNT coach Vlatko Andonovski into the ejection seat after only delivering a worthless bronze medal in the Tokyo Olympics. Since then, however, he has swept away the doubts that he didn't have what it takes for arguably the most demanding job in American sports, protecting our greatest dynasty. But following Tokyo, Vlatko saw what had to be done and got busy. He redesigned the team, overhauled the roster that fuels his soccer vision, attacking and aggressive. He did this while having to play whack-a-mole with all the devastating injuries that might have ripped the heart out of any other country's team that lacked America's mental fortitude. Vlatko knows the enormity of the task at hand, and he also knows this: you either win the big one, or as they say in Macedonia, hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, that's what they say in Macedonia.
Yes.
I am unsure if Vlatko has what it takes to manage a team on the field to a World Cup. However, as I mentioned previously, the mentals on this team are always strong. And I do credit Vlatko a lot for keeping the locker room morale very high. I think he actually managed that, October window from last year. I think he managed that September through October window very well in terms of he took a lot of the pressure off the players when talking about all of the NWSL stuff. He allowed them the platform to speak as they wanted. And I think that got him a lot of good brownie points with the team, that he has their back, right? Especially considering he is a male who coached in NWSL for a long time. Things could have gotten untrustworthy between the two camps, and I think he did a good job of managing that. So I think from the locker room and the mentality side of things, I think Vlatko's killing it. And honestly, I think that is what it takes to win a World Cup more than it does tactics.
Point number 10, Taylor Swift. She's had she's had how many number one hits, Grammys, making $1 billion. Would she go on national television to congratulate her friend Alex Morgan and predict a win for the U.S. if it wasn't a sure thing?
Well, she has a number one album right now.
That is true.
And the U.S. has historically done pretty decent when she's had a number one album or song out. That happened in 2019. So I think that's some good mojo. I mean, she did give them a new album to jam out to Down Under, and it seems like there's a lot of Swifties on the team. So hopefully that gives them the energy they need.
And then the last point, everyone loves the ticker tape parade. Forgive us for channeling Coach Lasso here, but we can solve much of what ails this polarized nation with the feel-good denouement of another World Cup title and a confetti-strewn ride down New York City's Canyon of Heroes, not to mention we may see a spike in their book sales. Pride of a Nation, written by David Hershey and Roger Director with foreword by Julie Foudy, which I imagine is longer than the foreword that Roy Kent gave Trent Krim for his book, The Richmond Way.
I think that's a little optimistic that will somehow heal the nation with a ticker tape parade for the U.S. women. The U.S. women are a polarizing group. Let's just put it that way.
That is true.
And Megan Rapinoe is still here. So we'll see. But I do think that this team has a vision of what success looks like. And this team knows what it means to this country to have a successful women's national team. It's going to be tough. This is going to be the toughest tournament they've had since 2007, which was also kind of a in-between generations type of tournament. And it's even in their group, they're going to come up against teams that are comparative to them, right? I think Netherlands, as we saw 2019, they made the final. I don't think they're quite at that level anymore for an obvious reason. She's now coaching England. But Netherlands still very talented. Portugal's pretty good. They're going to be stingy to score on. And then, again, I just go back, though, to the fact that on their side of the bracket, I look at the teams they would have to face to get to a final, and it's not as problematic as the other half of the bracket, which has Germany, France, England, Australia, and Brazil. The U.S. would have to face, they're looking at Japan, Spain, Sweden. All of those are very good teams. I do not think any of them are at the level of the U.S. right now.
So then who would you anticipate would be the starting 11 for this match against Vietnam when we're all at Wild Heaven on Friday night?
So I was watching the LFG documentary again this past week. And I remember that one of the things that they said was they knew that they needed to send a statement to start the tournament against Thailand last time around. I think that needs to happen again. I think you need to go out there and dominate. So I think you have to put your best 11 out there. And I'm looking at Nair in goal. Your back four, Fox, Gurma, Cook, Dunn. Your midfield three. This is where I don't know the health of Roosevelt, but I think your midfield three, if everyone's healthy, is Ertz, Horan, Lavelle. And your front three are Williams, Morgan, Smith.
Then, and I know that you're going to want to post up a number. You want to sit there and put up an early marker.
I think you need to put up 5 or more, to be quite honest. And because it's more about building your own momentum. It's a message to the world, sure, but it's a message to yourselves. Okay, we're here. Let's do this.
So then if that is the starting 11, let's say that is the starting 11. We'll put that in quotation marks or bold print or whatever. Give me a player or two that are not in that starting 11 that you think are, I know I'll use the cliche and it's $1 in the jar. Give me a flying below the radar couple of folks that will be key to the United States' success that are not in that starting 11 that you would propose if you're going with that group against Vietnam.
Well, Trinity Rodman or Alyssa Thompson coming off the bench will be big.
Okay.
I think if you're looking at, again, the health of Ertz and Lavelle, it's very possible that Sanchez or DeMello play a good chunk of that game, right? I think the goal would be you're up 2-3-0 by halftime, so you can bring out Lavelle or bring out Ertz and put in Sullivan maybe for Ertz or put in DeMello or Sanchez for Lavelle. So I think DeMello and Sanchez are going to be important because throughout the tournament, they're going to have to probably deputize for Lavelle in that midfield. So those two as well.
All right. When, obviously we're looking at all of these things and you've talked about your trip. You've talked about going to these kinds of things. Gianni Infantino had his opening press conference where apparently he had jokes. He started off his presser by saying, "Today, I feel tired," instead of, and I think he also said that he felt like Alex Morgan or something. But in this opening press conference with our gentleman Gianni, he called on New Zealand fans to do the right thing. Ticket sales surpassed 1 million tickets a month ago. Uptake has been slow in New Zealand, with tickets still available for sale on the evening of the tournament kicking off, unlike in Australia. So he made his plea. Never too late to do the right thing. Come to watch the matches. We need full stadiums to warm us all up. Speaking alongside Infantino, FIFA's Secretary General Fatma Samora said, "We still have tickets available for some matches, so my only plea is don't wait until the last moment. You can still apply. Get your ticket for the majority of the matches. We hope this will be also the most attended women's sporting event. It is already, but that we'll be reaching record figures." And so Zero, I guess is how you pronounce it with an X, like zero with an X, like Xerox.
Yeah.
They said that they'd offer 20,000 complimentary tickets to games in New Zealand's 4 host cities. Common for sporting events to allocate a certain number of complimentaries. Complimentary ticket allocation has been exhausted. No further tickets available as a part of the initiative. Infantino also praised the growth of the women's game in the last 10 years. Quote, "Many people who still believe that women's football is not, a great game, or it's not so entertaining, or it's kind of a bad copy of men's football or some stuff like that. Well, when they watch a game for the first time, they'll actually see that it's a fantastic game. It's very entertaining, great athletes playing. The level has grown incredibly in the last 10 years, and the best are coming here." The final point that I wanted to have you address. For the first time in history, FIFA is guaranteeing direct payments for Women's World Cup players, with every player participating at the tournament set to receive a minimum of $30,000 each out of a record $110 million prize pot. That's one quarter of the men's, by the way. Part of $152 million in total compensation to players, clubs, and feds. Infantino added that it was up to the federations to ensure that the money was received by the players. Quote, "Whatever payments we do through the associations, and then the associations will, of course, make the relevant payments to their own players. And then obviously, New Zealand faces Norway. So he says this: how concerned are you that not every player and federation will properly reward their players for their participation in the tournament? Is this a concern for you in any level?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're seeing the battles that even top tier teams are having with their federation, right? That they're not getting the appropriate support financially. And it doesn't always come down to pay, but a lot of times it does come down to pay. I think that is a concern that all these players should have. And that's why for them, it was important to get at least agreements of some sort secured or written down for how that prize money will be divvied out. I'm thankful that FIFA. I'm trying to not give Infantino a lot of credit here, but I apologize if it sounds like it. FIFA took a risk with this tournament by unpackaging the broadcast rights and making them separate.
No doubt.
It did not pay off the way they wanted it to. That is not FIFA's fault, right? There's a lot of the European broadcast agencies were like, what do you mean you want us to pay double for what we paid last time? Yeah, we want you to pay 10 million instead of 5 million. Like, we're talking like little, like, come on now. So I do think that FIFA has been trying to find more money for the players so that the federations don't feel like they have to take all of it just to survive. I mean, especially if you're looking at, let's just take the example close to home, Canada. They need the Canadian women to have a deep run in this tournament so they can take a lot of that money and operate a federation, since they clearly have zero idea how to do that right now. So there are a lot of other federations that prize money at these tournaments is a big boost, but you have to make sure the players are getting their share as well. And a 23-player roster, it sounds like not a lot of players or not a lot of people to play. Unfortunately, when you start talking about, taking money that you could just use for revenue to run a federation or put in your own pockets, depending on which federation you're talking about, versus giving it to other people, it is a concern, John. It is.
Reffing down here, let's get into that, because there was one comment before you go. One comment.
I have plenty of time, John.
Reffing down here, there was a comment in the Twitch pitch, basically, that had to do, and I want to find it here. Hang on just a second. Let's see, where's my reffing down here comment, and it was about square. It was about right on. So I mean, it was. Where is it? And because it was funny, and I don't want to. Here we go. Okay, Coco. Yes, I have a reffing down here question about the Atlanta United game this weekend. What the hell?
Listen, it was not a well-reffed game.
No.
I think Jason summed it up best. He did not impact the result, right? Atlanta United did enough to screw themselves in that game. But he definitely influenced the flow of the game. It was frustrating because a lot of the fouls, especially in the first half, were during our legitimate, advantageous attacking opportunities. But the problem is those came from Thiago Almada just running past players or running through players who were literally grabbing him.
Yeah.
And, we have the idea of double jeopardy now in this. We don't allow double jeopardy when we're making refereeing decisions, where if we give a advantage after a foul, we don't come back and give a yellow card. But that's supposed to be similar to how we see it in the box, legitimate plays on the ball. Orlando did not try to legitimately defend Thiago Almada.
No.
Their only goal, as a lot of teams are, has been to try to pull him down, because that's the only way they can stop him, because he's that good of a player. So Rivas should have been more proactive in giving yellow cards. I do want to give him credit. He did give Orlando a yellow card in the first half. That set Orlando off. I don't know why. I tweeted it. Why was Orlando mad at the referee at the end of the half when they got literally everything they could have asked for from him in that first half?
Mm-hmm.
He called every little ticky-tack foul that they fell over for. Didn't give them a yellow card until the 5th warning about fouling Almada. And then they had the nerve to get mad and get a yellow. Like, one, this is why I hate that team. They're a bunch of little petulant little whatever. I can't say it because I don't want to blow your
you don't want to have us send the explicit rating for the show?
Yeah, not yet. But Rivas allowed Orlando to play exactly the way they wanted. He called every little touch on us where they fell over because that's what Orlando does. They're a diving, cheating little team.
Much like
then
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, and then anytime that we needed him to come to our defense, he was very reluctant.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a well-ref game. And then you know again it's the okay, well, what fouls are you calling? It's hard when you do give advantage because people see that as you not calling a foul when you're absolutely calling the foul. You're just saying that the foul is not more important than the attacking opportunity this team has. But unfortunately, it doesn't read us out a lot of times. And it was problematic.
That's being very diplomatic. One center ref to do another.
Yeah, it was because he did not allow for the game to be played in a fair way. That's the way I look at it. He did not allow that to be a fairly contested match. Now, again, that is not the reason that Atlanta United does not know how to come out of the gates with intensity, does not impact how Atlanta United doesn't know how to respond well to adversity, but he still impacted the match.
I'll exercise my first time out and say that in response to your comment, that paragraph. Machop Chol had a chance in the 2nd minute. He had a follow-up chance in the 10th minute. Brooks Lennon had a shot, a cross in the 17th that Miguel Berry just missed. You had the goal in the 22nd.
Yeah, and that was after we gave up a very quick and easy chance to Orlando from the off.
Right.
I understand your point. I'm just saying we're a responsive team. We are very rarely the team that's making other teams respond to us, and that's the problem I have. Also, Machop Chol getting hurt definitely impacted the game, right? And I don't want to give too much credit to Machop in terms of like it wasn't like he was stellar. He was very good.
No, but he was growing into the game, and he was a problem for Orlando.
And now you're making a sub that you don't want to normally have to make at
Correct.
33 minutes or whatever it was. That's not good. And then you bring on Edwin Mosquera, who for some reason is still a player for Atlanta United. And I'm sorry, John, but I just don't understand what he brings. And I'm really concerned why he got playing time over Tyler Wolff. I got to be real honest. That's a decision that I'm confused about.
I think there was something where Tyler had only come back into town on Friday. This is something that Doug had written. Okay. Tyler was away from camp and came back on Friday for the Saturday game.
Okay, that makes sense. I figured it had to be some sort of injury or something like that because there's no reason. Why Tyler Wolff should have. Why Mosquera should have been playing over Wolff.
So it was a lack of availability for Tyler for some reason,
and that makes more sense.
Unspecified, and so that was why.
I still think that he would have been more effective than Edwin Mosquera, but
no update on Machop's injury yet, Abby. We do not know. Since it is being requested by the OG. Go ahead and say the word that you were going to say, so I'll just go ahead and put the explicit rating out.
What word was I going to say?
You said that Orlando
they're being petulant little bitches.
There we go. Thank you. There we go. See, like I said, Abby was like, Abby was like, OG was like, yeah, go ahead and say the word. All right, so I have no problem putting the explicit rating on the show. I never have. I know that
Bart, but that's the problem. They do this every time we play them. It's the same, right? It's where they foul us and they do this and that, and then they get mad and they don't get every call, but they got every call. That's the thing. It's like they got every call they could have wanted in that game, and they still had to complain to the referee at halftime because you got called out for doing the thing that we knew that you were doing, trying to literally horse collar tackle Thiago Almada every single time he got the ball. And you're mad that the referee, after the 7th time you did it, said, don't do that anymore.
David, on USWNT. Generally critical of our new 10s and 9s and wingers. Smith's in the early stages wasted a lot of good chances. Lynn Williams the same way. Macario had some early games with 25-yard shots way off target. I won't go into Hatch. But Rodman seems to be the most I know I belong here, won't press young attacker we've had in a while, in David's opinion.
I think Rodman has a really good chance because Trinity is not I'm going to try to score every time I get the ball like Sophia Smith is. I don't think that's bad. Rodman is a facilitator. She does try to get others involved. She tries to find passes. I definitely agree that Rodman has the chance to be the biggest breakout star. There's a reason she's $1 million woman. There's a reason that she continues to get the publicity and the sponsorship she deserves. But the girl who's going to score goals is Sophia Smith. That's just where it'll be Sophia Smith. I also think Lynn Williams might have some good opportunities. But the thing that I've always said about Lynn Williams, to your point, is she's kind of one of those that needs a lot of chances. She creates a lot of chances for herself, but she needs a lot of them to find one goal. And the problem we have right now with the U.S. national team, and this is one of the criticisms of Latko, is we don't create a whole lot of goal-scoring chances outside of quick turnovers from the press. And looking at our group, we may be able to do that against Netherlands, but Portugal and Vietnam are not going to have the ball enough for us to create those turnover opportunities.
Let's see. What else was on folks' minds? Bam. So you can't wait for you to be back in the show after being in Australia and dropping a C-bomb every second word.
Listen, I try so hard to not curse on this show.
Why?
Because it's professional. It's an award-winning broadcast, okay? I don't want to sully it with a sailor's tongue.
It's a morning show, Bart. We do things on morning shows that are a little different. So Tom says apparently Chop was talked to after the game, said he felt fine. Obviously, after what happened in AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo, and it looked like the same thing happened in the Orlando match, there's natural concerns. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, and everybody is now on an Orlando tilt. I know that comes across as a shock. Before one last thing before you go, can you please again tease what's going on with Wild Heaven West End on Friday?
Absolutely. So on Friday, the party kicks off at 7 p.m. at Wild Heaven West End. We'll have the U.S.-Vietnam match on at 9 o'clock. We have multiple TVs in the garden room. The garden room is free and open to anyone who wants to come. We also have a VIP lounge, which you can buy tickets. Go to any of our socials, AO Atlanta, and you can buy tickets there that gets you a guaranteed seat. It gets you a free beer on entry and shared appetizers, as well as quicker access to beer and food.
The express lane, brother.
Yeah. We're also doing a fill the car with school supplies, thanks to Subaru Gwinnett. So bring whatever school supplies you feel like you want to bring. This will be very look, even in the suburbs and affluent parts of this metro area, there's still a lot of kids who cannot afford school supplies. And it may not be your kid, it may not be your family's kid, but there's a kid there who can't afford it. So any school supplies you can bring to the event on Friday, throw it in the Subaru and help kids, get a leg up when it comes to education. The other thing we have a sponsorship or a charity donation deal with Soccer in the Streets. We'll announce this today, but we're going to have 3 beers on tap at the event. All 3 of those, every sale of those 3 beers, $1 will be donated to Soccer in the Streets.
Very nice.
So you can drink beer and do good, which I know that's most people's favorite activity is to drink beer. You can also do some good stuff with that.
That's a
beers. Yeah. The 3 beers are the Mia, Brandy, Carly, and Abby. That's one beer that they created specifically for this tournament. It's a Belgian Saison. Yeah, Belgian Saison. We also have the set piece English Porter, and we have the ATL Easy Ale as well, the one that you find in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
So, what do schools? OG wants to know what school supplies look like in the 20.
They still need pens and paper, pens, pencils, and paper.
Exactly. So, It is hashtag for the kids. Bam has an itinerary request. He wants to know where you're going to be a week from today, and he wants to know where you're going to be on the 30th.
Let me pull it up.
Oh, he's now. Is it like laminated?
No. Sorry, that was to move things. Oh, here we go. Wrong tab. I have it. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
The 26th, I'll be at the. I'll be in between Australia and New Zealand, so I'll be flying that day.
Okay.
So we're leaving that morning to fly to Wellington. We're going Sydney to Auckland to Wellington on the 26th.
Okay. 30th.
30th, I'll be in New Zealand. I'll actually be at the Japan-Spain match that day.
Okay. OG, I'm bringing Trapper Keepers. I'm finding me some Trapper Keepers, and I'm putting them in the Subaru. That's the bottom line. And so, Coco says schools around don't allow backpacks that aren't clear or mesh, and so that's a part of the stuff. But no, pens, pencils, the whole thing.
I would say hold off on the backpacks. That if you want to bring that, that's fine, please. But I would definitely say that the physical supplies that they need to do school every day, pens, paper, pencils, markers, glue sticks, all that kind of stuff, still very needing whatever level your school you're at. So that would be very, very beneficial. Any of that.
Yep. Abby's saying, don't forget about the face painting. It's free, but if you want to donate dollars, you can. It'll go to Soccer in the Streets. Bam, for the reason he asks, is that the League's Cup kickoffs for Atlanta United are 7:30 in the morning on the 26th local time and 7 in the morning New Zealand time on the 30th. So that was breakfast with Atlanta United.
I don't want to get canceled here on Atlanta United radio and Twitter, but I got to tell you, of all the things I'm going to be worried about while I'm in New Zealand, Atlanta United is going to be the least.
Well, it's because Bart is not a fan of League's Cup to begin with, so
it's a money grab. We all know that.
Yeah, of course, and it is all about TV content for the new TV partner. I get it.
I'll tell you what I'm rooting for, John.
Yeah,
I want Inter Miami to lose.
Well, yeah.
From here until the end of time. Especially as they keep trying to bring in aging superstars and fit them into some sort of salary scheme that you were talking about before I jumped on.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know what the rules are anymore. And it's really annoying that Miami gets to break all the rules. I think everyone is okay with the breaking of the rules to get messy.
Yeah.
We all understand this.
Yeah, it's an NIL deal. I got that.
Right. That's what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many McDonald's bags of cash he's getting or who's getting the people. We don't know.
Wow. He drops an SEC Tennessee reference.
Sorry, Vols fans. Or, $100 handshakes or who's buying the car that he's driving around town, Eric Dickerson. But
it's a Trans A&M.
Yeah, this is definitely Pony Excess type stuff. But it's getting annoying that they're able to just be linked with all these players and there's legitimacy to the rumors because at least LAFC was able to pretend, right?
Yeah.
But this is egregious. And again, I think I'm with you, John, where it's like, I'm not mad that they're doing it. I think I am glad they're pushing the boundaries. The
Absolutely.
problem is there's a team that I support that would have been pushing these boundaries years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I'm not saying this is true or not. I'm just saying that, those 2017 through 19 teams may have had some creative accounting going on.
Hey,
that way.
once again, but like I said, we don't know what we don't know, but if
we don't know what we don't know, we don't know.
But if you are within the league parameters and there is nothing being said about it, then there's nothing being said about it, and you did what you were supposed to.
Inter Messi FC somehow gets to break all the rules that they want, and that is getting annoying. It is looking like the league is just letting Miami do whatever they want.
Good, let the rest of the league do it too. That's all I want.
Exactly. Let us go sign Rossi. Let us go sign, whatever Argentinian we want to go sign next. Let us do that because Lord knows we need some help at winger. Any of our winters playing right now. But
Bam is suggesting that this is a must-do in Sydney for you, the Inner West Ale Trail. So write this down. innerwestaletrail.com.au. That is a must-do for you in Sydney, sir.
We definitely will have a lot of time for hiking and trails. I'm excited for this.
I'm thinking that this
is like a brewery hop. Which
I was going to say, yeah, it's different kind of hiking there, sir.
It's still a trail. It's still a walk, and that can combine two of my favorite things: hiking and drinking beer. So
absolutely,
that looks fun. Okay.
Yep. So put that in your bookmarks. I will see you on Friday, my friend, and yes. I will probably end up at some point in your sojourns buying you some coffee so you can bring back gear.
Yeah.
Because the office has to get stocked.
I need to figure out which type of scarf you're getting, John. I haven't decided yet. What is – okay. So because I'll be – this is why. Because I'll be obviously I'll be at all these – games. So if you want the U.S. scarf from the tournament, we can make that happen. But I'll also be in Wellington where they have a soccer team. I'll also be in Sydney where they have two soccer teams. Well, they have one in Sydney and one in Western Sydney.
And
they also have an AFL team.
And an AFL team.
Rugby team. So,
dude, let's face it. I'm going to owe you a case of coffee by the time you come.
If I can get my hands on a Wellington scarf, I might get you that. Or if I go to the AFL match and I get you a scarf there, that's probably what's going to happen. The World Cup scarves are fine. I'm going to buy myself one. You can see the one that I have back here from France.
There you go.
But that's not. You can buy those online right now.
Yeah. There's no challenge in that.
No, but I'm looking at what scarves to get you for sure, and other people because I think everyone wants scarves, so that's probably what I'll look at. Yeah.
Well, and when your layover is where? Fiji. You gotta see if somebody is selling Fijian national team jerseys.
I'll see if they have that. If they don't have soccer, I'm sure they have cricket or some other sport.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll get you a Vijay Singh poster or something. I don't know.
Vijay Singh.
We'll see, Abby. I have a layover in Fiji going there and back, so it breaks up the flight. We're lucky. Luckily it's 10 hours from Fiji to LA, 5 hours Fiji to Sydney, so it does break up that expansive trip.
Bam says
10 hours on a plane, though, it's going to be. We'll see.
That's a nap. It's a nap. Yeah, winters. Yeah, David. True point. Winters. The scarf should be out.
Yeah, there's That's what I'm packing today is all my winter stuff because that I don't have to worry about. We'll. All the winter stuff is getting packed.
Vacuum bags.
Yeah, that's probably going to be how I utilize the vacuum bags is for my winter clothes because I'll need them. But once I get there, I can.
Yep. Traffic later today. We're going to catch up with our friends at Little Rock Rangers, USL League 2. Their opening round of the playoffs is this week, so we'll have that. You'll also have your MLS Next Pro week in review show. That'll be posted later today in addition to this show. Also catching up with our friends in the NPSL for stuff later on in the week. We are also catching up with our friends at North Carolina FC because they are playing for a national title against Indy 11 in USLW. So we're going to catch up with them. All that stuff's later in the week. Tomorrow, 10:30. It is Thursdays with Nico. We'll talk about whatever. Obviously, we'll have World Cup stuff to talk about. And looking forward to it all. Oh, Abby says, are you bringing USA tattoos?
No, I don't need to bring those. I will have plenty of those there.
David is like down coats vacuum a lot.
Yeah, I have a down vest, which will be one, and then have a couple of other jackets that I'll be wearing. So
no doubt. And since you're going to be in New Zealand,
it's not going to be that cold, Abby. It's not going to be that cold. I appreciate the SoCal. We're talking like looking at the weather right now. It's low of 45, highs of 55.
Oh wow.
I mean, I understand, but I'll be. I don't need the soak. We're not going hiking in the Himalayas here.
Not yet. No, but you will be on the Ale Trail, I'm sure, when you get to Australia. Bart, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Since you are the visitor, and I allow for visitors' rules, send us home if you would, please.
Mucha plata, y'all.
What he said. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, talking stuff. That's the official term for Thursday Thoughts. Be good.